I'm Blanca Camacho, and I'm a member of the board of directors of Hola, the Hispanic organization of Latin actors. Thank you for joining us. Today we'll be visiting with Jorge Merced of the Pregones Puerto Rican Traveling Theater. Jorge Merced is the assistant artistic director of Pregones Puerto Rican Traveling Theater. He is an acclaimed actor, director, dramaturg, songwriter, and arts educator. He plays a key role in the development of Pregones Puerto Rican Traveling Theater's acting and music ensemble. Additionally, he leads the company's lifelong arts learning programs. He has received multiple awards from Hola and from the New York ACE Latino critics, including Best Actor and Best Director. So now, please join us for a look inside Pregones Puerto Rican Traveling Theater with Jorge Merced. Bienvenido, Jorge.
Gracias por estar acá con nosotros.
Gracias a ti. So we were talking, Rosalba and I, about the trajectory of the theater, both theaters to one theater, and so through the decades there have been a lot of evolution, a lot of innovation, and I hear that now you are actually members of Actors Equity. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I think we take such pride in knowing that the artists that come to work with us, they can, after working with us, choose to join the union. After a hiatus of perhaps the union not understanding that there's so many different voices in this city that make the theater in this city so vibrant.
Yes.
And but now we finally were able to convince them that we belong in that spectrum of what it means to do professional theater here in New York City. So now we are an equity house, and all of our actors here receive a full-fledged equity contracts, and they're able to join that workforce here in New York City. And we take such pride in that, because also it's about us making sure that the legacy that Miriam was able to establish here continues on, and that voice is also one that it's portrayed and represented in the unions that make the theater such an important part of New York City.
Absolutely. It's such a vital part of what a working actor needs. It's essential. That's wonderful that you've been able to do that. Congratulations. And you not only support actors, but you also support playwrights with your Asunción Playwrights initiative. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's another moment of pride for us. For 10 years, beginning in 2000, we were able to host a national queer playwrights festival here at Pregones, in the Bronx, basically, when people were not necessarily seeing the Bronx as that place where that kind of dialogue could take place. Mm-hmm. And we said, no, our audiences are so open and ready to talk about things that matter, and queer issues are at the center of a lot of the things that we do here at Pregones PRTT. So we had a beautiful festival, national festival, where about 40 different plays were submitted throughout that span. Mm-hmm. And we would have a national panel choose finalists, and then every year audiences could expect there was always going to be a queer-themed play at Pregones PRTT. And that opened the way for so many different opportunities later on. Some of the playwrights that went through that program have become really known in their fields. For instance, I remember Vicky Grice, who was one of the winners one year, and her play was about the Chinese-Mexican connection and how her family, who's half Mexican and half Chinese, had to deal with that aspect of identity, and that and being a queer play in the middle of that was part of Asunción.
That's really representation.
Totally,
I mean, it really is
totally.
when you get so many different, so it's not just a queer playwrights festival, but what the individual ideas, because none of these is an individual thought, right? Like being queer isn't an individual specific thought that belongs to everyone. Neither is a Latino experience or any other experience. So to give a voice to people to express all the many things that they are is just a wonderful thing.
I mean, queer artists are part of our homes, part of life, part of society, and our voice is one that should be celebrated in the way that the Asunción Playwrights Project did for so long.
How long did the project last?
10 years.
Wow.
And for those 10 years, the Bronx became the place where queer Latina artists could come and find a safe space where they could show their work, be received by communities in the Bronx and professionals. Audiences would stay after the shows for a question and answer and learn more about what that play was about and what that particular exploration was about, and that became a safe space, both for the artists but also for the queer community. That felt like Pregones was that place where you could go and you would feel safe to talk about things that perhaps your family might need some support to talk about, but also be entertained by the magic of theater.
And now, what does that do for a playwright who may not have had an opportunity elsewhere to express themselves, to have their voices heard, to suddenly be in a place, a safe space, as you say, with a theater full of people eager to hear what they have to say? Like, what does that do to an artist?
It's immense, the type of, the sound of that audience receiving something that for an artist writing at home, feeling like, well, are our communities ready to talk about these issues? And that festival really provided the space for that artist to understand that you're not alone, that you're part of a community that supports the work that you do and that continues to champion those voices. And this theater, both Pregones and the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, were innovators in that. I remember one of the first queer plays that took place here in this space at the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, Bomber Jackets. And that really was one of those that opened the way for people to begin to understand that we need to talk about these issues. And I think the Asuncion Playwrights Project did that. We closed it after 10 years. The last winner of that was a beautiful play from Venezuela, a Venezuelan playwright from in New York called Noche Tan Linda was the last play that won it. And after that, there were so many opportunities now beginning to flourish for that kind of a conversation where we said, okay, we did our job.
Right, you establish it now, you sowed the seeds and now they're growing elsewhere.
And now they're growing elsewhere, and then, but queer themes were part of our main stage season ever since, you know.
Right.
And I think for me that was really important. I mean, I came out of the world of activism. I came out of that process where a community talks about difficult issues, and that's how I came into the theater. And so I was able to find that space here to continue to support and to promote different generations of artists that felt like they needed a space, a Latinx space to talk about issues that were important to them.
That's amazing. Well, what that takes is collaboration, right? Again, with the theme of the no man is an island, it takes collaboration. Now, that's something that's been very important for Pregones Puerto Rican Traveling Theater. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, collaboration is something that is part of our DNA. I think that we come from a collective theater tradition, a popular theater tradition in Latin America. Y tú sabes que nuestros teatros son unos de colaboración, son unos donde entendemos el teatro like something that is not just a protagonist, but it's a collective endeavor in which both a community and audiences and artists come together to tackle questions that need to be tackled, that are essential and urgent for ourselves and for our communities. And that's what the arts do. I mean, they provide that space for you to ask difficult questions. So, and you cannot do that if you're not collaborating.
Right. And what are some of those collaborations?
For instance, we have a project called Plataforma in which we bring commercial producers and with nonprofit organizations and nonprofit initiatives, and we sit at a table and explore ways in which a play can benefit from that collaboration, from that input, from those, from that environment, and then we produce those shows here.
So you're sort of the extension cord, right?
So that would be, yeah.
Plugging from one to the other, and you join those two ends together to provide light.
So that's one of the things that we do, one of the projects that we do, Plataforma, in which we explore new ways of understanding how can we make theater nowadays, so that it's not just the work that we produce, our own original work, but any other initiatives that people may have been working with, and we say this is a home where that could happen. So we open it that way. We've collaborated with theaters from Belgium to South Africa, to Peru, even in Korea, where we have reached out and worked on projects that meant something to each one of those communities. I remember traveling to South Africa, working with a theater company there, and then getting to the place where we were rehearsing and knowing that these young people were coming in sometimes for 4 hours to try to be there and be with us and create theater, and then come back to their communities, and knowing that there we are as a Latino company from the Bronx and from New York City, saying presente and giving those kinds of hugs
Right.
of art.
It's an empowerment, basically.
Totally.
Here we are, we're going to figure out a way to make this work para ambos, ¿no?
Claro,
Que sea
claro.
algo beneficio para ellos y entonces estar ahí para proveer el lugar donde puedan explorar y crear. That's
Sí.
amazing.
Yo creo que para nosotros el protagonismo es el teatro, no es el individuo ni la organización, es el quehacer teatral. Eso es algo que está muy dentro de lo que nosotros en Pregones PRTT pensamos, que el teatro es para servir un propósito que es estar en ese lugar para hablar de temas que son urgentes e importantes. Y no creemos en el protagonismo.
Pero es más allá del teatro en sí.
Es la colaboración. We really believe that the more that we can provide spaces for artists to collaborate with individuals and with organizations that mean something to them, that's the way to move. We have, for instance, an artist space at Pregones
I was going to ask you about that. ASAP?
ASAP, yeah.
Cuéntanos.
That's a beautiful program that we created in which our theater has two venues, right? So sometimes we produce things in this theater and sometimes in the Bronx, but we can't be at both places at all times. So whenever the theater is dark in either of those spaces, we have a program in which if an artist is creating a program, a project, a play, or investigating something and they need space to rehearse or just to try it out, and sometimes to show it to an audience, they submit an application through our ASAP program. And if it's accepted, then you can use the theater free of cost. And
That's
you can
amazing.
bring your audiences here, and we give you about 30 hours in which you don't have to pay anything at all, rehearsal space or even bring an audience. So our ASAP program is one of them. The Plataforma is another one where we reach other types of, producers. ASAP is more for the local artists who are trying to figure out new programs in there. And, but again, and then we have the partnerships that we do. We're now working with a beautiful partnership with new organizations that are coming up that we feel like we have to be part of that
So
conversation.
now you become el núcleo.
Totalmente.
Antes, cuando empezaron, o digamos, cuando Rosalba empezó a pensar, el teatro rodante puertorriqueño y miren Colón fueron ese apoyo para ella.
Totalmente.
Y ahora que ustedes están aquí varios años, décadas, ustedes pueden ser ese apoyo para los que vienen nuevos ahora, para apoyarlos y darles una voz. Qué lindo.
Es un legado que nos dejó Miriam Colón. Miriam era una persona que creía mucho en el artista. Miriam, aunque ella tiene una gran fama en Hollywood, Miriam no le gustaba mucho el mundo de Hollywood. Ella prefería estar acá, enrollándose las mangas y trabajando con los artistas. Y para nosotros es un honor que podamos seguir ese legado y ofrecer espacios y oportunidades para artistas trabajar en nuestros espacios también.
Y ahora tienen si entiendo bien, un festival de películas.
Sí.
Ay, cuenta, eso sí está interesante, ¿verdad?
Este es un festival que se llama 21 Islands International Film Festival. And it's a short film festival that happens every year. It is something that we're really proud of, in which we understand that there's also artists who prefer film. And even though we're a theater company, we have a space in which we can show these films. And every year we select shorts that were created by artists who live in islands throughout the world.
Live in islands?
Islands. It's an island festival. You have to be an island artist.
Oh my goodness.
And the actual film has to touch upon issues that are important to that community in particular. So from Taiwan to even England, we've had artists who come in and then a panel chooses the 21 islands that are represented that year.
Goodness.
And the festival has been quite a success. And we're proud that it continues to happen.
And it's still happening.
And it's still happening. It's something that we again try to make sure that people understand that there's so many ways in which you can connect with art making that go beyond just sitting at home
Right.
and watching.
How long has the festival been taking place?
Before the pandemic, I think this is our 8th year now.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
and
wonderful.
we're so happy that Melissa and Rosalba are continuing that tradition of the festival every year.
Now, you have something called Stage Garden Rumba. ¿Qué nombre? You have to tell us what that is.
So, the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater began as a touring theater company. That's something that was so close to Miriam's heart as well, taking the theater to the communities that may not necessarily be used to going to the theater or have that be something that they do constantly. And Miriam had that very clear. And the Ox Cart, La Carreta, was the first play that was taken throughout the entire tri-state area to great success. Our Pregones also started as a touring theater company. When I joined the company, we were in 1987. We were part of a big tour throughout the East Coast. So that's part of our heart as well, taking theater outside of the theater into the communities. For many years, we had our summer program in which we would take a play and just tour it.
Mm-hmm. You know? I remember that, yeah.
But times change,
right.
And we felt like we also needed to incorporate a different cadre of artists that is not just theater. So what we did is create this program called Stage Garden Rumba, in which every summer we go to different community gardens in the Bronx, and we bring poets, musicians, dancers, mixed with activists and community members. So, and it's like a gathering where people talk about what are the issues in that community, and then we do art. And we celebrate, and it's a beautiful gathering that happens on Saturdays usually, and it's a whole afternoon of theater, of art making.
All summer.
You know, usually we try it in the summer, but it's so hot sometimes.
It is,
we're doing it in the late summer, fall. You know?
Yeah.
And we have a whole series that was filmed that really captures a lot of that. So again, it's keeping up that tradition of taking theater and art outside of those venues in which people are accustomed to see them happening there. And then we take them to the different communities. And the gardens in the Bronx are something that are an intrinsic part of our communities.
So you give voice, I mean, in terms of all these different projects, right? You have an indoor theater, you have outdoor theater, you have festivals, playwrights. You give voice to so many artists across all kinds of fields. So my question now is, so you're an artist, you're an actor, you're a dancer, you're an activist, and they might be interested in joining you. So how do they do that? How do you elicit people, you know, or if people are interested and say, oh, I think I might, you know, I heard how they work, I think that's something I'd like to do. How do they reach you?
I think that's why Hola is such an important part of our community. For many years, I always went to Hola first to find out what are the artists that are coming up, what are the artists that may be akin to a particular project. And I'm so glad to see Hola continues to be that voice that all of us, all our theaters championed and see as such a necessary part of who we are. So Hola is certainly one of the first stops. If you're a member of Hola, you can have discounts here at Pregones, PRTT. You can benefit from so many of the things that we do here, but also you can be part of a community that understands that all of our theaters are not competing with each other. We are sisters and brothers who are here supporting the work that each of us does and also the work that Hola does. I remember for so many years being in funding panels, and every time Hola came up, I would say, no, that is sacred. You do not touch that organization because that organization is providing a key service to us. So if you're an artist and you're a member of Hola, just stay tuned. Find out when our plays are happening. Send us your picture and resume. We're working with a casting agent right now, Bas Valle, that we love, and connect with the casting agents. And whenever we have open auditions for our season, just come on in. Or better yet, become a volunteer at any one of our theaters.
Oh, that's
you
a
can
great
start by
idea.
being an usher.
Right.
Or just participating in our Stage Garden Rumba events. They're free. Just come and hang out with the artists and get to know us. Talk to us about the projects that you have in mind and why art is so important to you. And I'm sure that we're going to find a way for us to connect. Even if it's not here at this particular moment or that particular event, you never know. But don't be shy. Just go out there and be present. I think for many years, artists would just send resumes to all these different theaters, right? And their photos and resumes. That's fine too. But be part of a community. Be present in that community. Show up. And you're going to see that your art is going to be influenced in a way that you would never dreamed of. And that's the magic of theater. It's about collaboration. And that's the magic of Hola as well. It provides you that space for you to consider things that maybe you hadn't considered before. In your play, in your performance, as an actor. But by being in community, we grow together. And we believe so strongly in the work that Hola does, and I'm so proud that after so many years, Hola continues to fight for the voice, our voice, to be heard in a way that is honoring all the people that came before, but also opening the arms to the different artists that Hola continues to gather. So I'm so proud to know that Hola is here, and I think that's one of the ways that you can join each one of our organizations.
Right.
Come see a play. You know, if you can't pay for it, you know, our tickets are really, you know, low. Be an usher, participate, join a community that makes sense to you, and I'm sure you're going to find the artists there that are going to, you know, provide that context for your art to continue to grow. So again, you can either find out when our auditions are.
And can they do that like on your website?
Yeah, you can just go to our website, pregonesprtt.org, and there's going to be many different opportunities for you to join our mailing list, to see the shows that are happening, the different collaborations that we have here at our theater, and just so that you know that you're not alone. You're not just sitting by yourself. Even if you just move to New York City and you're like, where do I go?
Right.
Go to Hola first, become a member of Hola, and then come to our theaters and be part of that community that says Latinx theater here in New York City is essential to the life of our community, to the life of American theater in general. And it starts with you just getting on that train or just get out of your house. Come, be part of theater, be part of that collaborative magic that is theater making.
That's wonderful advice for any artist, really. And finally, how do audiences find you?
Oh, that's a great question. There's so many different ways for an audience to be part of our community. Certainly, go to our website, join our mailing list, and you're going to receive constant, but not too constant, because we're not going to bombard you with that. But you're going to be updated as to what are the things that are happening in our theater. What are the guest artists that we're bringing? Because we also not just do our work, our company's work. We also bring guest artists that we
do
find.
productions and events.
And we do presenting as well in our theater. So you're going to be able to be exposed to so many different things that you'll be able to enjoy and bring your family. One of the things about Pregones PRTT is that people say to us, I know that I'm always going to be entertained, but Pregones PRTT shows always make me think. They make me pause and think about life in a different way. But I always get entertained. So if that's the kind of theater that you want to be part of, just come on over. Go to our website.
Tell us the website again.
Pregonesprtt.org, and just join our mailing list right there, and we will respond to you, and you'll be able to be part of our family and be part of this vibrant community that is the Pregones Puerto Rican Traveling Theater.
Oh, thank you so much, Jorge. I so much appreciate everything that you've told us. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure being here. And again, bravo, Hola. So proud of you.